Are you new to GLP-1? Are you worried about Christmas? Is this your first Christmas on a GLP-1? Do you know what to expect? Are you worried about what's going to happen? Is there going to be a lot of pressure put on you by other people to eat, to indulge, to drink, to be the old you, to participate in Christmas the way that you used to? Will you be letting people down if you turn down their food? Have you been thinking about what you're going to eat on Christmas Day? Are you going to adjust your medication schedule or miss a dose so that you can indulge in Christmas? What are your thoughts around it? Do you think you should be able to enjoy Christmas, therefore you're going to stop the medication? Do you think, I've indulged all of these years, or I've indulged over the years for numerous years, so this year I'm going to restrict at Christmas? Are you just going to wing it? Are you going to see how you go and just play it by ear? All of these things, if you're relatively new on a GLP-1, might be circling around in your head and you have no idea what's coming. When I went into Christmas week last year, I was 12 weeks into my GLP-1 journey. I knew that my food noise was gone, and I mean gone. It tackled it so well. My cravings, I was struggling to understand what were cravings and what were just, interestingly, I just had to answer the door to accept my Manjaro delivery. Anyway, so last year I was, like I said, 12 weeks in, and so Christmas for me was really quite easy. But the build up to Christmas and the thoughts about what potentially would happen were what were bothering me the most. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if all of my crazy Christmas food demons would appear. I used to plan for Christmas like it was a military operation. All of the foods that you could imagine as being special Christmas foods, like Indian and Chinese picky bits, the prawn rings, sausage rolls, cheese platters, pork pies, nuts, chocolates, crisps. I used to buy everything. I used to spend an absolute fortune on food at Christmas to make sure that I wasn't missing out. And on the years when I used to drink, I stopped drinking 3 or 4 years ago in COVID. I used to buy alcohol, enough to sink a battleship. It'd be interesting if I was still drinking to see how Manjaro affected me, because my friend who does drink, she started Manjaro and she doesn't really have a taste for alcohol. She'll have the odd glass of wine or a cider, but she's not drinking the way that she used to drink. And I think she's a bit upset about that, to be honest. But yeah, the food, the preparation for Christmas was, it was through the roof. And I would list prep, I would arrange who I was going to see when, and if it was restaurants I would look at the menu and things like that. But last year, where I was kind of doing that, so I went out with friends last year before Christmas, and the reason I looked at the menu that year or last year was so I could see, was there anything that I could eat, because I had aversions to certain food when I first started. So it was a whole different landscape last year than I had been used to previously. Like I said, previously it was all bets were off. Christmas was just an eating holiday. It was a way of eating as much food and much variety in as large a quantity as humanly possible, whilst other people were overindulging, so maybe they wouldn't notice how much I was eating. But last year, by Christmas, I think I'd lost... I'll look it up and I'll put it up here somewhere. But like I said, I was 12 weeks in and I lost a stone the first week, so the first month. So I lost a stone the first month, and then I was losing about £2 a week. So I was maybe 20 pounds down, somewhere around there. No more, maybe. Anyway, I'll put it up here. And even though I went into Christmas with like a solid plan, so my plan was to have Christmas Day and Boxing Day, which is the 26th in the UK, Christmas Day and Boxing Day, where I would eat what I wanted, but appropriately, not to excess, and then go back to normal Manjaro eating on the 27th. And I did that successfully. But I'm not going to lie, I was very worried. I was very worried that if I, cracked the seal, that all of a sudden all of the old eating habits would come back. That the food would just go flooding into my mouth and I'd be able to eat through the Manjaro suppression and I would go crazy. So that was a slight concern. I was pretty sure that wasn't going to happen because up until 12 weeks, I was feeling good. I had energy. I was losing weight. My food noise was gone. This was just like miraculous to me. Every week I was like, oh, this is great. I've lost weight. I'm not been thinking about food. I'm not obsessed and, buying everything that I can see. However, I was still struggling between recognizing what was a craving and what was a habit. So what was habitual thinking about food? And I definitely had that come Christmas Day because my sister would always cook what we call it a fry. Like in Ireland, we call it a fry, but like a full English, if you like. So we have that Christmas morning and then we eat late on Christmas Day with nothing in between. They drank lots of alcohol. So yeah, Christmas morning, I started off with my protein coffee. That was the first thing I had. And I kept my breakfast as small as I possibly could. Bearing in mind, my family did not know I was on a GLP-1 at Christmas last year. Hadn't told them. So I was trying to mask the fact that I was on a GLP-1. So I was trying to eat enough food to look like I was enjoying the day and I wasn't restricting. But I was also trying to balance that with not overeating and worried if I did overeat slightly that it would lead to a binge. I didn't have the trust in myself yet. I kind of did have the trust in Manjaro, but I didn't know if the old me would take over, if that makes sense. So Christmas Day was a bit of a shaky start, but actually I realised that I didn't feel those things and I didn't want, there was chocolates open and there was like crisps and, things available if I wanted to eat or snack. But actually then I noticed that I didn't want to do that. And that was again another revelation to me because the year before, sneaky food thief that I am, I was at my sister's ex-partner's house for Christmas Day. Oh dear. And every time someone left the room, I'd take a couple of like chocolates that were my favourites and I'd hide them away so that I could eat them in secret later. And then it wouldn't look like to them that I was eating many chocolates. So if they said, would you like one? I'd go, no, thank you. And then I'd go into my room on the pretext of doing something and I'd eat like 4 or 5 chocolates when no one was looking. It's insanity. It's insanity. But that's how I used to be. Or if someone left the kitchen, you've got like sausage rolls that are like that big, like the mini sausage rolls. If someone would leave the kitchen, I'd be like, and I'd scoff a sausage roll. I think about that now and I hear how crazy that sounds. But I used to do that. And I'm also not ruling out the possibility that if I stopped taking a GLP-1, sorry, I got itchy face, that if I stopped taking a GLP-1, that could return. Obviously, we all hope that by doing the work hence these midweek musings. By doing the work, by looking at our food history and our psychology and why we used to do what we used to do, along with recognising that food addiction is a real thing and having control over that isn't easy. Otherwise, we would have all lost weight years and years and years ago. But there's still that worry that, like, if I stopped, that would all come rocketing back. So I'm not in denial about that. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. Because obviously I'm still on a GLP-1 and they're still working incredibly well. It is now 6 p.m. It's 6:10 now. And I'm contemplating if I'm going to have dinner. I am going to have dinner because I'm going to make myself have dinner. But I'm also not especially hungry. So the GLP-1 is doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's managing my appetite. And I am going to, like I said, I am going to eat today, even though there is a small part of me, and I'm sure a lot of you have thought this, that thought, maybe I can just skip dinner. But I'm not going to do that, because part of this for me is knowing that Mounjaro is managing my hunger, but I also need to keep my body nourished. And I will be doing that at Christmas too. But back to last year. So last year I adjusted my shot day before Christmas so that Christmas Day fell on day 7. So I would be hungry on Christmas Day. And I was able to eat a sufficient amount on Christmas Day to feel like I had a good Christmas. And then I think I injected on the Boxing Day. So I was able to eat on Boxing Day as well and enjoy the food that day and have a few chocolates and things like that. And then on the Friday, if I remember how it went, on the Friday, my suppression was back super strong. So then I wasn't very hungry. And that suited me fine. And I was able to get away with that in my family without anyone particularly noticing. So that was good. They all know now. They all know now I've come clean. But last year it was very much a secret because I thought I would be judged. I hadn't lost enough weight. And so I thought if I told them, it would be like, oh, here she goes again, another diet, another failure imminent, you know, because I'd told them over the years, oh, I'm doing this diet, oh, I'm doing that diet, oh. And then the next time they'd see me, I'd be even fatter than the time before. So not only had the diet not worked, but it had not worked and I'd gained more weight. So last year I didn't want to tell anybody because even though I thought it was working already by week 12, it was working. I'd lost quite a bit of weight. I was worried that, I don't know, it would wear off or I'd be able to eat through it or I'd start binging again or I'd stop taking it for whatever reason. But those fears were unfounded for me. It continues to work to this day. I'm on week 61 already. I've lost 95 pounds. I have 5 pounds to go to my 100-pound target, which I'm hoping to reach by Christmas Day this year, so Christmas Day 2025. And I know that I'm going to be still on a GLP-1 at least until October 2026. That's kind of like the plan. So I said I'd do 2 years on a GLP-1. So when I get closer to October, I'll know better what I'm going to be doing. Am I going to stick on the Mounjaro and go down the doses and see how I do? Or am I going to switch over to Wegovy? It's all up in the air. And I don't really care about that at the moment because I've still got to get to goal. Then I've got to go into maintenance, which is when the real hard work starts. If you've been following anyone that's just gone into maintenance, it's a bit of a roller coaster in the beginning of just trying to get the balance right. So I think that's why I've postponed looking at it until after Christmas. I'm happy. I've still got my 5 pounds to go. So yeah, but come the new year, I'll definitely be staring down the eyes of maintenance. But the difference this year is and having just been through Thanksgiving, for me, I feel very confident going into Christmas. I know what to expect. I know what my body's doing. I know how I feel about food. I know I don't have the habitual eating that I used to have. I definitely don't have the cravings that I used to have. And the cravings that I do have are very manageable. So my cravings can be, oh, I fancy that. I'd have to go to the shop to get it. No, I'll do without. But then again, if I go out at the weekend and I see something in the shop that I want, I will buy it. And the difference is pre-Manjaro to now is, let's say it was a cake or something. I know I could buy that, bring it home, have a slice or even half a slice, and that will satisfy me. I put loads of food in the freezer these days. So if I buy a cake or like my pecan pie, I put 2 slices in the freezer that I'm going to have at a later date because I didn't want to throw them out. I don't know what they're going to be like when they defrost, but anyway. And that's something that wasn't present last year. I didn't like to have anything around then I could potentially binge on. I think it took me until after Christmas time until I trusted myself to have things in the house and to have snacks and treats like chocolates and crisps in the house. If I did want something, I would go out and buy it, have the one and then be done. But now I know I can have stuff in and it doesn't bother me. I can have it there. I've said it before, I've got a whole cupboard full of chocolates. Actually, let me just show you this. Hold on 1 second. You are sat on top of a Quality Street box. I'll show you, hold on. This is my, can you see? Hold on. That's my snack box. So that's from Easter, caramel egg. These milk chocolates are definitely from my birthday last year, not even this year. So I've had them over a year. My daughter left that here in October when she was visiting. I've had two lines off that. I've got carob chocolate here that I bought when I was on the AIP diet because you can't have cocoa. But yeah, there's a Waitrose bar of chocolate here. That's delicious chocolate. There's an Irish mint crisp. It's my favourite chocolate that you can only get in Ireland. And there's some Quality Street and some Lindt chocolate balls. As you can see, I've got my my fire on over there. So let me show you my Christmas tree while we're here. Twinkle, twinkle, little Christmas tree. But yeah, so those chocolates were in here from when my friend was visiting. So I feel perfectly safe around food now. And my advice to you is if you don't feel safe around having those kinds of foods in, don't have them in. Don't buy them. Maybe if you're going to someone else's house, have a few, indulge there, but then just let it go. Don't have them in until you feel confident and safe and secure. And for some people, that might never happen. Some people might never feel safe around those kinds of foods. But I know for me, I'm far enough into this that I do feel safe to have those. But I said last year, you need a plan for Christmas. And I stand by that this year. You do need a plan. You need to plan if you want to eat, how much you want to eat, and what you're going to do if you're pressured by other people. You know, like you must eat Granny's, like buttery mashed potatoes or whatever, you know. Come up with a plan that's going to work for you in your situation, in your setting, and assuming that people know, because it's up to you whether you tell people that you're on a GLP-1 or not. I chose not to last year, but I've changed my tune now. I tell everybody I'm on a GLP-1. I don't care anymore. I've come far enough, I feel successful enough in my journey that I'm able to share that, not be ashamed of it, not be guilt-tripped by anybody or that I'm cheating, you know, by using this. And if anybody did try and tackle me on that, I would have quite a fair bit to say about it, you know. But that's where I am now, and that's 61 weeks in for me. Or is it 62? It's 62 weeks. It's not 61 weeks. 62 weeks in now. So that's the difference between this year and last year. You've got to decide where you are in your journey and how strong you feel, how much you can share, who knows, and what you want to do on the day. So put together a plan for yourself for Christmas and then stick to it, you know. Hopefully the GLP-1 is working sufficiently enough for you that you can stick to your plan successfully. So that's all I've got to say for this week. I will be back again on Saturday for my weigh-in, my week 62 weigh-in. Hopefully I will have lost weight this week, and I will be closer to that £100 target that I am desperate to get to before Christmas. But yeah, if not, then we just have to take it in our stride. But I hope life is treating you well. I hope your GLP-1s are going well and that you're not suffering from too many side effects. And I look forward to seeing you back again on the weekend, like I said, for my weigh-in video. All right, take care and look after yourselves. Bye-bye.